don't bunch up, you don't get sweaty. Simple as that.
One of the things I noticed about my Goats grip socks is the grip runs across the whole panel, so there's no bunching or sliding in your boots.
These grip pads will help you not slip when you're going in for a tackle.
My old socks will get sweaty halfway through the game. Not with Goats grips, they stay cool and dry from start to finish.
These guards are so lightweight, you forget they're even there, but they still give solid protection. It's like full freedom to play a game without that clunky feeling. I used to wear bulky guards that slip down every game. These stay in place the whole time.
These shin pads are stretchy, durable, definitely not be ripping anytime soon.
Switch the Goat sleeves now. They don't slip, they don't slide, nice and snug, nice and tight.
It's crazy how light these things are. I've worn a lot of old school pads in my time. In these, are featherweight and super comfortable.
Legend begins where heroes end.
Why are you still wearing those old clunky shin pads when you could be wearing these?
I used to struggle with shin guards sliding all game. These are a game changer. Put them on, you don't even notice them. They're comfortable, keep you going until finish.
It shows how fast you move on the pitch because it's stuck to the shin bone and does not slip and slide all around the shin.
No distractions, no readjusting, just focus on the match. What I like about these is you can wear them all day. Training, recovery, travel, they never lose shape. The material is soft and supportive. It's the perfect mix of comfort and performance. These guards are so lightweight, you forget they're even there. These guards are so lightweight, you forget they're even there, but they still give solid protection. It's like full freedom to play a game without that clunky feeling. Training, recovery, travel, they never lose shape. What I like about these is you can wear them all day. Training, recovery, travel, they never lose shape. The material is soft and supportive. It's the perfect mix of comfort and performance. The first thing I notice is that these guards don't move. Once they're in place, they stay there. I can tackle, sprint, or slide without adjusting them. You feel secure and locked in. My first impressions of the Goats guards, honestly, super light and super clean. Straight away,
Hi everyone, happy Monday. Welcome to another live coaching call. I can't believe we're nearly in April already. I was just looking at the calendar and I'm like, where is this year going? It only seems like it was yesterday and it was December of 2025. I hope you did all well. We've got a really exciting hour to get through. We've got an amazing question from one of our players in the USA, from Elijah. We're going to go straight into that question in a moment and I'm going to give you the answers, a little bit of a walkthrough on the whiteboard. Then we're going to go, as ever, to a very short break, and then when we get back we've got a couple of more coaching videos that we're going to walk you through and do some whiteboards. Also, I need questions, so if you can drop in some questions in the comments on YouTube, that'll be very, very much appreciated, and then I'll do my best to answer as many of them as I can at the end of the call. So as ever, remember to drop in as many questions as you can. If there's anything that's bugging you as a player, maybe as a volunteer parent coach, maybe you want to ask questions for your coach at your club. And as you'll see in this next question, not only are we going to answer and help this particular club in the USA, and I'm going to offer my time and services for free, but also it might make you think a little bit how we can help your club or your team in the future and how we can move forward with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask everyone to get yourselves a pen and paper, get your devices ready. We are going to go and head into our school community, and we're going to just showcase a couple of areas that we want you to have a look at, and then we're going to get straight into that question from Elijah. So I'll just move us quickly across. Hopefully we can get it there. Fantastic. Now, I'll read out this question before I actually walk through the full detail of how we're going to answer it and attack it. My club just bought 99 acres of land to build a youth training facility. What would it need to have to be a US version of a Cat 1 MLS Next Play on turf? So that's an obvious one. Suggestions. Okay, so there's a couple of questions within a question on this one. What makes a Cat 1 Cat 1? And how can Elijah's club get help or assistance with this? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up my Remarkable, and I will just put up some screens on here for everyone to see, and hopefully you guys in a moment will be able to see my screen. Fantastic. Okay, so firstly, what is Cat 1? So for anyone who's not aware of what Cat 1 is, I'm going to cover that off first. So let's answer the first one. What is Cat 1? Well, firstly, let me tell you, we have in the UK and England, we have Cat 1 to Cat 5. And what that means is, it means a club's rating from the Football Association in England. Now, Category 1 is the highest, and Cat 5, as you probably guessed it, is the lowest. And quite simply, what the categories mean, Cat 1 is the best, Cat 5 is the worst, or the lowest, but what does Category 1 exactly mean? So a club is graded on a whole host of areas, from staff, facilities, environment, qualification of your staff, qualification of your coaches, your technical directors. Do you have child protection officers? Do you have first aid? So there's a lot of stuff that goes into categorising a club. Now, I was very fortunate when this first come into place and we recategorised all of the academies in England. I was part of that big project, and the big project that we worked on was called EPPP, and if you Google that, it will tell you what it stands for. But basically, it's the Elite Player Performance Plan and Review, and it was to try and help English clubs produce more world-class players, and they literally went from the bottom up on how to fix and resolve this problem. So hopefully that answers what is a Category 1. So you now understand the context of the question that Elijah's asked. How can a US club become Cat 1? And how can they make the most of the 99 acres that they've just purchased or inherited as a club? So it's a great question, and I'm going to break it down over the next 10 to 15 minutes because I think it's really important for anyone who's got a club outside of England and who's not aware of the EPPP and the way the categories are implemented from Cat 1 to 5 in all the English clubs. I think it's really useful to understand this structure. Now, I know there's similar structures in place already in the likes of Australia, New Zealand, the USA, but I've seen them firsthand, and they're not even 5% close to what they've got in England. They are a million miles away because of the level of detail that goes into the clubs in England. So if you have got a Category 1 in England, you've pretty much got the best football or soccer academy on the planet. and there's not many Category 1 academies in England, I can tell you that for sure. So what I'm going to do is, I want to just set out that Cat 1 now isn't just about, so it's not just about facilities, and it's not just about standards. It's a lot more than that. And I'm going to cover off over the next couple of minutes what it is, okay? The biggest difference, and it's all around structure, environment, and the quality of the delivery. So these are the three most important things, okay? It's structure of your club and academy. Then the second thing is environment. And then the third thing that we want to speak about is obviously the structure, the environment, and the quality of delivery. And if you were to list three things, what makes up a Cat 1 club, I would say you have to be super strong in all three of them areas. So, what actually makes a Cat 1 club? We'll list some little items here for you. So, coaching quality. All of the Cat 1 clubs have to have a set amount of UEFA A and Pro license coaches. Now, I know we've got a lot of families and players who are based in the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and they go, oh yeah, my coach is an A licensed coach. I'll just stop you there and we'll just set this aside. To complete your UEFA A license, so as an example, when I completed my qualifications with UEFA, to do my UEFA B took me just on 2 years to complete. To complete my UEFA A took over 7 years in total from start to end. In excess, across the UEFA B and A, was in excess of 2,000 coaching sessions, okay? To obtain in places like Australia and the US, if you'd obtain your A licenses in those confederations, you can get one within 6 months. So it just shows that we've got to make sure when we're talking about the magic Q word, quality, we actually mean quality, the best of the best, okay? Also, staff members have got to be full-time and not part-time or casual. They are the rules. So if a club wants to be a Cat 1, they've got to employ, if they want to employ a coach, he or she's got to be full-time. If they want to employ a teacher to work in the education department with the players, they've got to be full-time. If they want to employ someone to work in the kitchen, they've got to be full-time. What this does is, and it fixes one of the major problems that I've experienced in Australia over the last 18 years. It's amazing to have a volunteer base, always. But when you've got clubs being run by non-football and volunteers, and what I mean by non-football and volunteers is people who might love the game and want to volunteer just to help the club or to help their kids out, but they're not professionals in the game of football or soccer. That's where everything goes wrong. That's the reason why soccer in Australia is in the state it's in. That is the reason why soccer in New Zealand is in the state it's in. The USA is not as bad as a state as Australia, but it was probably 10, 15 years ago. But the USA now have started to dig themselves out, and you can see it quite simply just looking at some of those MLS games and how many fans are coming out to those games, and they're getting in excess of 40 to 50,000 to most MLS games now. And the level of professionalism has gone up a lot in the last 10 years. Also, you need to make sure we have what's called IDPs. Okay, and they are individual development plans. Okay, so every player is an individual, and that is an absolute must. Now, we speak about IDPs on the Pro Player Pathway with me, or we call it match objectives. It's exactly the same thing, okay? Now, that is one of the areas, and that is a little bit about coaching. Now, what I am going to do is very quickly, I'm just going to clear a bit of space at the top of the screen for everyone, and I'm just going to cover off the next couple of key areas that are worth noting, and I'll explain a little bit. Now, if you're a club watching this, and this is being shared to you by one of your players or one of your parents, and you want to reach out and get more information on how I can help you, we do have opportunities for clubs and federations all around the world. If you would like to work with me and my team, we'd be more than happy to help you with that. Now, the second area, so that was about the club. The second area is all around environment. And I'm going to explain a little bit about environments and what we mean by environments, okay? Now, this is where most clubs fail. Now, one of the big things with the environment is what we call pro daily habits. One of the other areas that we have in here is constantly high standards in all sessions. And I will give you some examples of what these actually mean and shows you the level. Accountability. And discipline. And that's not just from the players, that's from the coaching team to the staff members. Everyone's held accountable. And a competitive training culture. So there's 4 or 5 things in there which are pretty important. So players will develop from the environment they are in every day. And this is one of the biggest lessons that we learned, okay? Not the facility itself. And I can give you an example from Europe. When I worked on the EPPP project, one of the countries that I visited and spent lots of time was in Germany. And Germany are the best at this. They have structure and discipline like there's no tomorrow. And what does it equal? Quite simply, it equals an output. So if we've got structure in place and we've got discipline, you will get output. Now, what are some of the professional daily habits? Well, coaches, as an example in England, got to be set up on the field 1 hour before the session starts. How can you do this if you're a casual or a part-time member of staff or a volunteer? It's impossible because most volunteers are working full-time. Now, the reason why most, or not most, but everyone's got to be a full-time member of staff, like we listed down here at the bottom, is because by having members of staff that are full-time, they can go out 1 hour before and set up the session. That's just one of the professional daily habits. High standards at all sessions. What does that mean, or what does that look like? It means that not only are you set up 1 hour before, all the balls, bibs, cones, and every single part of the session is set up. Every single coach and team member who's working with the players wears uniform, tucked in, socks on, socks up to the knees. Coaching staff in England are only allowed to wear plain black football or soccer boots. They're not allowed to wear bright, colourful boots. They've got to look like they're in uniform and they stand out and they're noticeable as a professional coach or member of staff. Accountability and discipline. Okay, not only do players have IDPs, but coaches have IDPs. And as a coach, and I was one of them and I had a youth phase, we had to report in every 8 to 12 weeks with our head, our technical director, and our head of education. A competitive training culture, this is another great one. What does that look like? What's that all about? So making sure it is competitive on a daily basis. So if we know we've got a player in our squad who's 12, but for many reasons, this particular player, let's say it's a boy, and he's just too strong for all his other teammates because he's already gone through, started to go through the change physically, he's a bit bigger, stronger, faster. How can we make it competitive for him or for her? By putting them up an age group or two for 1 or 2 training sessions a week to ensure that they're getting that competitive edge. If we've got a player who we know is a little bit on the smaller side physically and they're just struggling with that part because they haven't started to go through, let's say, that particular change that teenagers go through, there's an opportunity for that player to go down and play down an age group, train 1 to 2 a week, but more so they can get success. So that's a little bit about the environment. Now, the third one I want to move on to, and this is one of my favourite ones, and it was one that at the time I never really thought it would be one that I would really love, but I've started to really understand the importance of getting this right and how this can have an effect on the environment. So the third area that we're going to have a little look at is facilities. Now, if you're wondering how I know all of this, as I said, I was very fortunate to work on the EPPP project. I successfully helped Leicester City gain Category 1 status, and at that time that was a huge draw card because also Leicester City at the time wasn't in the Premier League that particular season. They were playing in the Championship, but it proved that no matter who you were and what club you were, if you had all of these processes in place and installed, you could be a Cat 1 club even if your first team wasn't a Premier League team, which was so pleasing to discover and to find out. Now, facilities. Grass pitches are a must, not artificial, okay? However, you can have artificial, more so for training on, and for drills that require a lot of wear and tear. Also, you need to have areas for SSGs. Now, if you're wondering what SSGs are, it's basically small-sided games. So these areas can't be on top of the existing pitches and you just set up cones. You have to have areas for small-sided games, 2v2 spaces, 3v3, 4v4. Now, for Elijah in the USA who's watching this back, for your club, if you've got 99 acres, all of a sudden you can now start to fill out purposely, okay, their field space appropriately, because if you've got that much space and room, there's no such a thing as overuse on real grass pitches anymore. You can actually make sure that every space has got its own area, which is really good to know. Gym and an S&C area, which stands for strength and conditioning. Super important. And the big one that I'm a big fan of, and the one that I've spent most of my time in, is a recovery area. Now, a recovery area going back 5, 10, 15 years ago was basically a gym floor with some gym mats out and people could stretch off. Recovery, it's now completely different. It has ice baths, okay? Physio, saunas, steam rooms, and infrared, and I'll put technology, but we've got what's called infrared saunas now, and we've also got infrared beds. And without going into too much detail, these things are changing the game of recovery. Anything relating to infrared, there's some amazing technology coming up. Now, we've got our final two little sections, and I think now, Elijah, and hopefully you've sharing this recording back to your club, you guys are getting an idea of what you need to think about and what it is you need to implement and where. This also then helps to put the planning into the year by year, because your club might not be able to install all of this straight away for maybe financial reasons. But the good news is, once you've got a detailed plan like this and someone like me can come in and work with you for free, we can help you piece this together and then plan it out over the next 5 or 10 years. So you can add these bits in year on and year out, rather than financially the club kills themselves. And this is an area of my expertise that I'm really a big fan on, is getting this environment right. Because if we have the right environment, the right facilities, the right sports science team, the right pathway, then guess what? If you put the foundations in properly, it's an absolute no-brainer that you are going to develop superstar players. And it doesn't matter whether you live in USA, Canada, Australia, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. It doesn't matter where you are. If you've got the right foundations in place, then you are going to produce player and player year in and year out. Now, number 4, and I'll go through this one a little bit quicker. So one of the other big things is sports science. And this was a big one that we implemented at the time at Leicester City. Now, this is where academies get separated from the best to the worst. One of the big things that we were really big advocates of were GPS trackers. Now, if anyone's on our Triple P program at the moment, you all wear the Stat Sports tracker, and we love our Stat Sports trackers. Also, load management is another big area. Injury prevention. Yeah, that's right, injury prevention. So we actually discovered on how to be more proactive than reactive. And we discovered in England, to be more proactive, we had to do things like DNA testing on players to see what they can and can't eat. And that DNA test then covers proactive measures for injury prevention, but the DNA test also assists with nutrition, and we'll go into that in a little bit more detail on another call. And the final part is protocols for recovery. Now, you've just heard me say down here about ice baths and physios and saunas and infrared technology, but you've got to make sure that there's protocols in place. And I give you an example of one of them. We actually discovered that when players have a day, especially players who are 13 or 14 or older, who do strength work in the gym, if they're doing any form of strength work and then they go straight to recovery and do an ice bath, it actually has a negative effect on the strength work, what they've done. Whereas an ice bath would have been better that day in the morning before they went out and done any sessions at all. And it would help them get rid of any inflammation and help them get the maximum out of the session. Now, if you've got a player who's doing a football-based session only and it's only cardio work and they've done 90 minutes on the pitch, then when they come in, that would be fine to do an ice bath there. And that's why it's important you've got protocols in place for recovery. But these protocols are actually objectively peer-reviewed. They actually have been proven scientifically that doing something a certain way is going to give you a benefit and it's not going to give you a negative, okay? Now, final one that we're going to move on to, and this is a favourite of mine as well. I actually loved all the areas when I worked on the Super Project with the English FA and the Premier League, but this is like one of my other little mini favourites, and as you guessed it, it was the name of my programme and the book that I authored. But one of the most important areas that we discovered was players needed a pathway. And first thing is, we need a clear pathway. But the problem in the past is, like, if we've got a clear pathway to, say, the first team or to go pro, where do we get this from? And that was always the big question. On the EPPP project, to date, the English FA and the clubs have spent £2.1 billion on developing this project, and I was very fortunate to work on it for the first 4 years, of which a lot of the data has literally not changed. It's all about just actually having a plan, and we know the old saying, you know, if you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. Okay? Now, game exposure is important. Another area, scouting connections, real opportunities, and without a pathway, it's nothing more than just a training centre. Now, to finish off, on the player pathway, when you say game exposure, what does that mean? Well, it means being able to say to players, we can give you exposure in games that's going to help with your development. Now, because of your height physically, you might be outgrowing everyone in your age group, so it's important that we can give you game exposure in with older age groups, okay? Scouting connections. Now, this one seemed very alien at the time, but by categorising the clubs 1 to 5, okay? 1 being the best, and then 5 being the lowest. If you were a category 1 club and you were interested in a player from a category 3, in the past, that lower division club could hold the stronger club to ransom for money for a junior. But what we discovered was that's not in the best interest of the player. What would be in the best interest of the player would be to be at a category 1 club. But it was hard 20 years ago to prove what was a category 1 and what was a category 4. Once the FA and the Premier League put in the framework using the EPPP, it was so straightforward to show you who the best clubs were, because the category 1 rating would show you they were the best clubs. Now, if then the player was happy to move with the family from their Cat 3 club to the Cat 1. So let's say, for example, it was Liverpool were interested in a player at, say, Tranmere Rovers, and Tranmere Rovers play a few divisions below Liverpool, then it'd be a no-brainer, you would think, for players to leave Tranmere to go to Liverpool. But in the past, it wasn't so evident, because sometimes clubs like Tranmere Rovers at the time had a better academy than Liverpool. Now, that's not going to happen. There's no way, as a player, you would be better being a Cat 3 when you've got a Cat 1 club who's after you. So as long as mum and dad can help make that move possible, then it is definitely in your interest to be at a Cat 1 club, because with everything that weighs in your favour and everything that we've covered in these 5 areas, then you are winning. Now, if you get this right, and my honest advice is to any clubs who are finding themselves in a situation and they've got new space or they've acquired new land, don't just go off and take other people's advice who've never been there and done it, because the best question you can ask yourself, and I'll finish off on this one, and I'm going to put it in between these brackets, is this in the interest in the best interest of the players? And if you always lead with that question when you're trying to make a decision at your club, I think you'll always have the right answer. So, is there any benefit to purchasing 28 hurdles for players to jump over. Well, where does that fit in within your plan? Does it fit in within your player pathway? Why do we need that many hurdles? So if you've got a plan like the EPPP, what we put together for all the Premier League clubs and lower teams in England to get categorised, once you've got a proper plan in place, then you can then follow it and away you go. So it's a standard that you live every day. And I believe, especially in places like the USA, I believe in the US, they can build something better than a Cat 1 club can build in England. And I think when the USA get this right, and I'm hoping, and the reason why I'm offering my services for free to clubs, to federations, to the main US federation, is because I've got the DNA and the pathway, what's required to set up the right environments to develop world-class superstars. And then the rest is just press and play every year and just rinse and repeat. And it will be a pathway of 10 to 15 world-class players rolling off the conveyor belt every year for the USA. So hopefully, Elijah, you enjoyed that one. I know I did go into a lot of detail, but it's important that I went into a lot of detail with this one because I really, really wanted to showcase to everyone the level of detail and what's required. So again, if you're in Canada, the USA, no matter where you are in the world, but most of the USA and Canada, if you were at a club or a federation and you want help and support with this, I would come and meet with you online and speak with you in your club. I'll happily come and speak in front of a federation. I'm more than happy to help with this because I've been there and I've done it. And we've got the t-shirt, but only not on that. We've actually produced world-class players who are now gracing the England team. And I think, if I'm honest, when you look at the England senior men's team, you've got players like Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's at Real Madrid, can't even make the 35-man squad for England. That's not because Trent Alexander-Arnold has done something wrong or he's not fit or he's not playing well. He's at the height of his career. He's playing for Real Madrid. They are second in La Liga. They're still in the Champions League. Like, it's unbelievable. But he just can't get in there because there's too many good players in that position. And this is the problem that we've created in England. And I truly believe with the 300 plus million people who live in somewhere like North America, the USA and Canada, it's scary to think where the USA could take this in the next 20 years if they implemented something at this scale and were to categorise the whole country. So super excited to talk to you about this one. We are going to go to a very quick ads break. So guys, if you need to, run the bathroom, get a quick drink, come back with your pens and paper ready, and we'll be back in 2 minutes.
You don't bunch up, you don't get sweaty. Simple as that.
One of the things I noticed about my Goats grip socks is the grip runs across the whole panel, so there's no bunching or sliding in your boots.
These grip pads will help you not slip when you're going in for a tackle.
My old socks will get sweaty halfway through the game. Not with Ghost grips, they stay cool and dry from start to finish.
These guards are so lightweight, you forget they're even there, but they still give solid protection. It's like full freedom to play a game without that clunky feeling. I used to wear bulky guards that slip down every game. These stay in place the whole time.
These shin pads are stretchy, durable, definitely not be ripping anytime soon.
Switch the Goat sleeves now. They don't slip, they don't slide. Nice and snug, nice and tight.
It's crazy how light these things are. I've worn a lot of old school pads in my time, and these are featherweight and super comfortable.
Legend begins where heroes end.
Why are you still wearing those old clunky shin pads when you could be wearing these?
I used to struggle with shin guards sliding all game. These are a game changer. Put them on, you don't even notice them. They're comfortable, keep you going until finish.
It shows how fast you move on the pitch because it's stuck to the shin bone and does not slip and slide all around your shin.
No distractions, no readjusting, just focus on the match. What I like about these is you can wear them all day. Training, recovery, travel, they never lose shape. The material is soft and supportive. It's the perfect mix of comfort and performance. These guards are so lightweight, you forget they're even there. These guards are so lightweight, you forget they're even there. But they still give solid protection. It's like full freedom to play a game without that clunky feeling. Training, recovery, travel, they never lose shape.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you for that short little ad break. So we did spend quite a bit of time on that particular one, but I think it's a great insight, not just for players and parents, but for any volunteer coaches out there, any committee members, no matter where you're based, whether it is Australia, the US, Canada, wherever you are around the world. I think it's a really important one that if your clubs or your federations are looking at, building a brand new facility, there's a lot of things that go in to thinking about it. And to finish off on that one, even down to things like where you place your first aid room, where you place your training SSG, so your small sided squares, you've got to be really, really clever on just a little bit of planning and prepare properly. And later on, it will make everyone's life easier, the coaches' lives easier, the staff's, the players, and there's a lot of different things and thought processes that should be going into play. But thank you, Elijah. An amazing question, as ever. I don't ever get a bad question on here. Some of the questions are phenomenal. So if you've got any for me, please, please, please share them. I am going to have a little look very quickly just into the chat on YouTube, but we don't seem to have any questions on there. So what I will do is I'm going to jump back out into my screen very quickly, and we're just going to have a look at just a couple of things that we've got on here. So great little post on here on Trent Alexander-Arnold. We were just speaking about him being dropped by the England team. It's crazy to see that, but you can't argue as well because there's so many good right backs in that England squad. We did also log another post today, and I'm just going to see if I can pull it up quickly for us. Hopefully it's still here somewhere and I haven't gone past it. Shows you how hard you guys are working. Look at all these results you're logging, daily planners, trackers. Now, we have got a special guest coming up on Monday next week. So a week tomorrow, we have got a live call. Now, I just want to make this clear with everyone. And I'm just going to have a little look because I know we've had a few replies on this particular post. So big thank you for everyone who's replied. Now, what you'll notice is for next Monday, and if you can give your friends a nudge, if you know anyone else who's on this platform with you, the call next Monday won't be on via our normal route, YouTube. What we've done is if you go into calendar, so if we come into our calendar here, you'll see for next Monday, if we click on, there's a Google Meet link there. So next Monday, it's going to be live on a Google Meet. Now, the reason why we're doing this, we're not going to put this one on YouTube for everyone to access. We're going to keep it member focused just for our members. So if you can make and turn up 6:30 p.m. Brisbane time, you're going to have a great opportunity to be with one of probably the world's best breathwork coaches. And we've got a couple of surprises coming up in next Monday's call. So if you can make it, make sure you hit that Google Meet link, and we will do a reminder next Monday just to remind you of that fact as well. And then the next one I just wanted to raise with you just before we finish off for the night, in the event we don't have any more questions. We did drop a great video in a few days ago, and our latest one that we've just dropped in, so we launched this one a few days ago. Now you're going to notice we're going to start dropping a lot of these videos out of the live coaching calls. So what we're doing is if we do anything with the whiteboard now, we're going to take it out of the whiteboard. And what you'll notice is we're going to drop it under live weekly coaching calls. So if you're ever searching for them, you can get them all in one place. Now I did upload another one today. And again, this is an 8-minute video and it's pulled out from Saturday's live coaching call. So again, if anything's on the whiteboard, it will be edited up and taken out. So this way, we don't necessarily need you to watch the whole 1 hour through. what we're going to start to do is take the best bits out for you. So if you do join us on the live, fantastic. And at the end of the live, you might go, do you know what? I want to actually just watch that one back again where Ray's talking about what a Cat 1 club is. That Cat 1 video that we've just done there, that will be edited out separately as well, and will get posted at some point this week. The reason why we're doing this is because we want to make it small and bite-sized for you guys as our family and players. And the best way to sort and look for them, you can always search the name at the top, but also what we can do is, if we go more and we click live weekly coaching calls, it will show you them all in order. So these are our latest ones here, and you can actually have a quick flick through and go, oh, this move destroys defenders, the Maradona breakdown. Great, I like that one. Or the free skills every top player has. Oh yeah, how long's this one on for? And then you can have a click on and you can see the duration of the video and you can go, yeah, I'll watch that one. It's only on for 7 minutes. The same with this one. You'll have a look and you'll go, oh yeah, 8 minutes 23. Yeah, I'm going to have a look back at that one. So hopefully you guys are starting to see, as ever, the improvements that we're making on the system for you guys, because we want you to get the maximum benefit out of this platform, and we want to make it as easy as possible for you to navigate. And remember, if you're ever looking for something, type it in that search bar at the top, and if you still can't find it, message me or one of the team and we'll help you. This is what we're here for. I get up every morning and go to bed every night, and all I'm thinking about is ways I can brain dump all of this knowledge into the platform so I can educate players, parents, volunteer coaches, volunteer parents, paid coaches, technical directors. I'm here to try and help. I don't claim to know everything, but I think over the last 25 years and the different types of roles I've held, I tend to know a fair bit of stuff, and I just want to share as much of this as possible. Just to finish off as well, I did get a question today, and I'm going to just show everyone. I know most of us know where this is, but we had a question on how can we get the book. So once you're on our platform, it looks like this on the app as well. So if you download the app and you connect to our community via the app, it looks the same. But if you click on Classroom, and if you go to section 1, the book, audio book and ebook, there's 2 ways you can do it. You can click on here and you can download the free ebook there. Or if you click on audio book, you can actually listen to the whole book here at the bottom, or you can just listen to a chapter at a time. You just click on, hit play.
Professional player pathway from grassroots to glory.
And it's also read out by me as well. So you'll hear it in my funny accents all the way from Liverpool in England. So again, if anyone's looking for the book or the audio book, go into Classroom, section 1, and also there's a couple of nice little testimonials in there, one from John Barnes and Michael Owen, 2 ex-Liverpool legends. So I'm going to have one last look just to see if we've got any questions. Great one, it says the 30th of April. Thank you for tipping me off. I think that was Khaleesi. Let me have a look at that. And I think I've put that in for March the 30th. Where does it say the 30th of April? If you can just tell me in the comments, Khaleesi, where that actually says the 30th of April. Because I've got March. I'm just trying to see where it says the 30th of April, but I think I do seem to remember seeing it somewhere, the 30th of April. Maybe that was on the community post. Maybe that's what it is. Let me have a look. Yeah, it does. Well spotted. I'm losing a month already. A big thank you for spotting that, guys. So we'll update that. So hopefully that will save. just see if we can get this in right. We'll do save. So big thank you. Yeah, we got that 30th of March. Well spotted, guys. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to have a little look, and I don't think we've got any more questions coming in. So what we'll do is, guys, I wish you all well. I hope you enjoyed that live coaching call. We look forward to seeing you on our next one, which is going to be Thursday evening, Brisbane time, Thursday morning, London, Wednesday late in the evening, USA, Canada time. And I look super forward to seeing you all in the next couple of days. As ever, keep in touch on the community. If you got any questions, drop them in the community, tag them to me or to Jen, or send me a DM as well, guys. Even if you do post in the community, always send me a little DM and give me a nudge and say, Ray, I've just dropped you a post in the community. I really appreciate that. It'll help me to then have a look. Because I'm getting a little bit old now. It takes a little bit of time to find these posts, but if you DM me, I'll sure to pick them up every day. And I hope you all have a great evening or afternoon, whatever you're up to.
You don't bunch up, you don't get sweaty. Simple as that.
One of the things I noticed about my Goats Grip socks is the grip runs across the whole panel, so there's no bunching or sliding in your boots.
These grip pads will help you not slip when you're going in for a tackle.
My old socks will get sweaty halfway through the game. Not with Ghost Grips, they stay cool and dry.